I've got 4 simple steps to help you get started doing your own residential assisted living facility. If you're interested in learning those 4 simple steps, make sure you stick around for today's video. Hey everybody, it's Brandon Gustafson. Welcome back to Assisted Living Investing. Happy to have you on the channel with me today, and I have an exciting topic for you. I've got 4 simple steps for you to follow to get started on your own residential assisted living facility. Things that you can just implement right away, start the process, and kind of walk you through the high-level pieces of getting a facility started. If you're interested in learning more about that and those steps and get even deeper into them, I've got a course that I'll be releasing on the website assistedlivinginvesting.net. Make sure you get over there. I've got my underwriting calculator, so you can download that, and you'll get a 12-week course, kind of condensed version of it, through an email newsletter that will also come out to you and give you some tips and tricks and action items for you to be successful while I'm building the course. That's going to get really in-depth. But in today's video, I really wanted to dive into 4 simple steps for you to understand as you get started on your journey. Kind of outlined in who you need to talk to, how this works, and actions that you can take to get you on your path to getting your own residential assisted living facility. The first one is what is called a certificate of occupancy, and I talk about this quite a bit. I feel like I've talked about it several times. If not, then I'm talking about it now. So what is a certificate of occupancy? It is basically saying, yeah, you can operate your facility in this space. This is completely separate from working with the health department, completely separate from your license. This is, you've talked to city zoning and planning, you've talked to the fire marshal, you've gotten everything in place that says, yeah, you can operate a facility in this spot. It's okay. The HOA has approved it. All of those things are kind of in this process. So what you're going to need to do there, I would highly suggest you reach out to city zoning and planning for your municipality. If you don't know where you want to start, you want to look at converting a home, this is also an incredible spot for you to start, is talking to city zoning and planning for local municipalities, just to see, hey, I've got this house, I want to turn it into an assisted living facility. Is that possible here? If it's not, do I need to rezone it? What is that rezoning process like? How do I go through that process? And that person, the city planner, is going to kind of walk you through the process that you need to go through to help you get that certificate of occupancy. They're also going to tell you, hey, you got to go talk to the fire department. The fire marshal's got to come out and walk the facility and make sure that the hallways and the doorways and give you a maximum occupancy. Everything is going to be in line with what you need to operate your assisted living facility. So once you get that done, and this can take a while because you're working with several different people. You're working with city zoning and planning. There might be other people at the city. You got to talk to the fire marshal. Your city might have something different that you've got to reach out to. This can take a while. It's a lot of schedules. It might even be, you've got to implement, you've got to make the changes to the house, to the property, before you can get that certificate of occupancy. So if fire marshal comes in and says your hallways they're too narrow, you've got to expand them by 4 inches, then you've got a big renovation project on your hand. An example of this, actually, we were purchasing our facility in Idaho, and in the process of doing the change of ownership with them, what we found is we needed to have an extra external facing restroom in the facility. So we were licensed for 16 beds, and the rule, based off the fire department, what they do in the city of Nampa, Idaho, is I think it was for every 10 individuals in a home, you have to have a public restroom. And so we had to work with the sellers and have them do this renovation, and then we paid them back once we purchased the facility. But they had to take one of the restrooms that was facing internally to a bedroom, and we had to seal that up on one side and then put an external facing door and make sure it had a sink, a shower, and a toilet is what it needed to have inside of that bathroom. So we had to do that renovation before we could move forward with the application process, the change of ownership process with the health department. So just those types of little things, you want to make sure you're having those conversations, because if you don't, you're going to get to the point where you're trying to do your license and they're going to say, well, did you talk to the fire department about this? Did you talk to your zoning department and figure out what they needed to do? And the answer could very easily be, no, crap, I gotta go back and talk to them about those things. And so you're gonna have to start over. So certificate of occupancy, super important step for you to know, and also just a great research step for you as you are getting started on your path to getting your own assisted living facility. So that's number one. Number two is talking to the health agency in your state. So this could be the state of like Colorado. It's CDPHE is the department that does licensing. In Idaho, I think I can't remember, IHW, I think is what it's called. So it's gonna have some acronym, and it's gonna be different for your state on what it is, but they're gonna be the licensing governing body for assisted living, and you want to have conversations with them. I actually would highly suggest having that conversation very early on with them, because they're going to give you a list of things that you need to have, including the certificate of occupancy, to get your license in place. So they're going to help kind of walk you through the process here and what you need to do. Something to understand with the health agency is this is another long application process. You'll have to have that certificate of occupancy is one thing you need, but they're going to have another list of things. They're going to do their own separate inspection to make sure that you've got the facility up to their standards. There's going to be policies and procedures that you've got to do. This is a big piece of it, and you hear this as you get into the world of residential assisted living or just assisted living in general. Policies and procedures are a big thing. They are costly. I have a video that I've done that talks about purchasing them or working with a consultant to get your own policies and procedures. So something that you might want to look into. I'll make sure I link that up above. But working with that health agency, it's a long, arduous process, but it's what's going to allow you to operate your facility. So it's absolutely necessary that you go and you talk to them and work with them. And I suggest doing it as soon as possible so you can really start moving things along through the process. But just going into it, recognize you're working with government and it takes a long time to do anything. And there's going to be a lot of paperwork and it's going to be a long process, and it's not necessarily fun, but you absolutely have to do it if you want to operate your facility. This is how you obtain your license. Something that I wanted to make sure I point out to you is there's a couple different license types. There's one that is kind of starting a brand new facility. So if you're doing a conversion or building something from the ground up, then you're going to get a new license. But if you're purchasing an existing one, you're going to do what a lot of states call a change of ownership, or a CHOW. And their application processes are slightly different. A lot of the same paperwork is needed. Generally with a CHOW, it's going to be a little less expensive and maybe a little less invasive of inspections because there's already a license on the facility. But they're pretty similar in the things that they're asking for and what you're trying to do with them. But you kind of want to understand language-wise what you're asking of the state when you say, hey, I am purchasing an existing facility and I need to do a change of ownership. What is that process? That's the question you want to ask. Or, hey, I'm looking at converting this house and I'm talking with the municipality. It's zoned correctly. I've had the fire marshal come out and they told me what I need to do there, and I want to get a new license. What is your application process for me to become a new facility? That's the question that you want to ask them. So just kind of language-wise, how you want to talk to them and the question that you want to ask, that shows them that you know what you're talking about, right? So that's going to help you get to that point where you are coming into this and you have a better understanding of what you're trying to ask them to really make some progress down the line. The third simple step that I'm going to share with you is marketing. This is a question I see quite a bit as well, is where and how and what to market. And those are all excellent questions, actually. So marketing is a big piece, and what you can do in the beginning, even before you have your license, is you can start putting yourself out there, and you would put like pending license. Get with your state and see what they would, the verbiage that they would use, but the gist of it is pending license. Is you want to have like a little banner on there. We would put Be Well Assisted Living pending license, and put it out there, that we're looking for new residents. You could be putting this out there on things like Facebook. You could create a website. You could do Google ads for it, or you could even get out and start networking with people in the community. Doing face-to-face interactions and one-on-ones and talking to people is great. And then the fifth one that I would tell you is get in front of hospitals and rehab centers and those types of places that are going to be looking for placement. Even other assisted living facilities, they don't always accept every single resident that comes to them for one reason or another. The level of care, their Medicaid versus private pay, like there's a myriad of reasons. It's not just because, crap, this person's horrible, I don't want to take them. It's more of a, they're just not a good fit for what we're trying to do here. But you starting up your facility might be willing to take that person. So even networking with other facilities is not a horrible decision. As you get into this industry, you'll see that people, like, we're all in this industry because we care a lot about people, and so we're not we're not bad people by any means. We're happy to help each other out, which is why I have the channel, to help you out and give you more information. But I was listening recently, re-listening to a video by Robert King. He's also got a YouTube channel that has, he kind of coaches you on a few things. And he said something that I thought was really profound. So I'm going to kind of give him credit on this. With what he said where, let's see, it was how to let them know. There's three key parts. There's who, what, and where. So you want to let them know who you are. You want to have your name out there. You want to be like, this is who I am. I'm Bob's Assisted Living. What I do is I help people, residents like you that need memory care, or residents like you that need services because you have Medicaid. Those types of things. You want to kind of tell them, hey, I'm Bob, and I am telling you right now that I serve this population. If you're part of that population, we'd love to have you in our house. And then you want to tell them where you're operating. So you got to say, I'm in Salt Lake City, I'm in Boise, Idaho, I'm in Los Angeles. Wherever you are, you want to make sure that you're talking to them about that and telling them specifically where you're operating your facility. So who, what, and where. Three key parts of any marketing message. But if you do that, you're going to be a lot more successful in talking to people. And that is talking to residents, or if you're doing in-person marketing, kind of networking type stuff, you want to keep those things in mind as well. You want to say who you are, where you're operating, and what you do, what you're looking for. And if you do those things, people are going to keep that in their mind. They might not know it immediately, but they're going to remember you, especially if you're consistent at going to some of those networking events. And then they'll start thinking, oh, my mom actually might be a good fit for that facility. She's kind of declining, and I think she would be a good fit. Or my neighbor, or my aunt, or whatever it is. They might be people that are a good fit for you. So have those conversations, open your mouth, and talk through it. And the fourth simple tip that I'm going to give you is staffing. So I see this question a lot actually on different forums that I participate in, and it is kind of around like, when should I start looking to hire my staff? I would say once you're pretty deep into the process of getting your assisted living facility with the health agency, that's when you want to start looking for staffing. For Idaho, Colorado, we actually were able to convince the administrator there to stay on with us after we purchased the facility, so that was great. In Idaho, that wasn't the case. The previous owner was the administrator, and so she was leaving, and so we had to hire somebody. And so I put it out there. We actually used Facebook for that. As of the recording of this video in 2023, Facebook has changed their way of doing staffing though, and job posting, and it's not as useful as it used to be, frankly. So Indeed is another really good spot that you can go to and post jobs. But we put it out there, and we were on a Facebook group and said, hey, we're a new assisted living facility. We needed an administrator. Who can help us? And we did that, I want to say we started doing that in like December of 2020, and we didn't close on the facility until February of 2021. And so I had my person hired, essentially, and ready to go to be our administrator, and she was willing to wait for us and was working some other kind of a side job and until we were ready to bring her on and be our facility administrator. So something for you to just kind of be aware of. You can start having those conversations early on. Just be transparent with that person. If you're not going to close until February and you're talking to them in December, you got to tell them, hey, it's going to be 60 days before we get this, which for some administrators is fine. We were going through a process of interviewing administrators recently, and a lot of them said, I need to give at least 30 days notice to my company before I can leave. And so, you're going to be able to find somebody that will work on your timeline, but it's important for you to do that. I would say the majority of staff that are there will probably stick with you when you initially purchase or start a facility. If you purchase an existing facility, obviously if you're starting a facility, you're not going to have any staff. But if you're purchasing an existing, a lot of the staff will stay, but you're probably going to have a lot of turnover pretty early in the process. So just something for you to be aware of. This is already a high turnover position, a high turnover job market. So you just want to kind of be aware of that. But staffing, it's okay to start early and then just be transparent with people. I want to get you hired, but we don't start our facility. We don't begin operating our facility until for a month and a half or however many weeks, just so that they're aware of it. But it's okay to start having those conversations and start the process of looking for your staff before you operate. And so I'd highly suggest you do that. You definitely want to have your staff in place by the time you start operating, because otherwise you can't operate. So you need to make sure that you have your staffing in place. Hope this information was helpful for you. These 4 simple steps I think will really get you on the path to getting there. If you want more of this type of information, get over to assistedlivinginvesting.net. I've got a free underwriting calculator that you can download there, and you'll get on my email sequence that gives you tips and tricks with action items for a 12-week program to get you started while I'm building my course that I'm going to make super affordable for you, so you can kind of learn the process, the ins and outs of starting your own assisted living facility. Are you interested in learning more about residential assisted living, but you don't know how to get started? At Assisted Living Investing, we're here to help you through the process, start to finish. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.